Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling that something was off? No one said anything rude. No one raised their voice. Everything sounded perfectly normal. Yet somehow you knew. Maybe someone smiled without meaning it. Maybe they agreed too quickly. Maybe their words said one thing, but something deeper told you another story. The strange part is that you couldn't explain why. The human brain is constantly reading thousands of tiny signals without asking for permission. While you focus on the words people speak, your subconscious is quietly analyzing facial expressions, body posture, tone of voice, pauses, eye movements, and dozens of other details. Most people never realize this is happening. The people who understand these hidden patterns don't possess magical intuition. They simply notice what everyone else overlooks. And once you begin seeing these invisible behaviors, you'll never look at people the same way again. Let's begin with one of the most misunderstood truths about human behavior. Imagine meeting someone for the first time. You ask simple questions. What do you do? Where are you from? Everything sounds polite. Everything sounds friendly. But beneath every sentence, another conversation is taking place. Notice how people sit. Notice how quickly they relax. Notice whether they lean toward you or subtly pull away. Comfort is one of the most honest emotions humans express because it's incredibly difficult to fake for long. Someone may tell you they're happy to meet you, yet their shoulders remain tense. Their feet point toward the nearest exit. The smile disappears the moment you stop looking. Their words are positive. The body is telling another story. Researchers have long observed that genuine comfort causes the body to become more open. Hands become visible. Movements become smoother. Breathing slows. People naturally mirror each other's posture without realizing it. On the other hand, discomfort creates invisible barriers. Crossed arms, forced laughter, short answers, frequent glances around the room. These aren't proof that someone dislikes you. They may simply feel nervous, tired, overwhelmed, or distracted. That's why emotionally intelligent people avoid jumping to conclusions. Instead of asking, "What does this behavior mean?" they ask, "What might this person be feeling?" That small difference changes everything, because behavior always has a reason, even when we don't understand it yet. The next time you meet someone, spend less energy judging their words. Pay attention to how relaxed they become over time. Comfort grows naturally. Pretending eventually becomes exhausting. Think about the last time someone shared a difficult problem with you. Your first instinct was probably to help. Maybe you offered solutions. Maybe you tried to fix everything. Maybe you immediately said, "You should." But something unexpected happened. The conversation didn't improve. In fact, the other person seemed even more frustrated. Why? Because many conversations are not requests for solutions. They're requests for connection. When people experience stress, loneliness, disappointment, or grief, their emotional brain often needs validation before it can process logic. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack. Someone walks over and explains how backpacks work. Technically useful, practically unhelpful. What you really wanted was someone to help carry the weight. Human beings are remarkably resilient. Most people eventually find their own answers. What they struggle to find is someone who genuinely listens without rushing to speak. That's why simple phrases can have incredible power. "That sounds difficult. I understand why you'd feel that way. I'm glad you told me." These aren't magical words. They simply communicate one important message. You're not alone. Ironically, people who feel understood often become much more open to advice afterward, because trust always comes before influence. If you want stronger friendships, better relationships, or more meaningful conversations, resist the urge to solve every problem immediately. Sometimes your greatest gift isn't wisdom, it's presence. Have you ever noticed how one person's mood can change an entire room? A cheerful coworker arrives on Monday morning. Within minutes, everyone seems more relaxed. Or perhaps someone enters angry after a stressful commute. Without saying much, the atmosphere suddenly feels heavier. This isn't imagination. Humans are deeply social creatures. Our brains constantly observe the emotional state of those around us. Scientists sometimes describe this as emotional contagion. emotions spread surprisingly fast, not because people choose them consciously, but because the brain is built to synchronize with others. Watch a group of close friends eating dinner. They often laugh together, lean forward together, pause together. Even their speaking rhythm begins to match. None of this is planned. It's automatic. This hidden synchronization helps humans build trust and cooperation, but it also explains why negative environments can drain us without obvious reasons. Spend enough time around constant criticism, complaining, fear, or hostility, and eventually your own thoughts begin to change. The opposite is also true. One calm person can quietly reduce tension in an entire group. Notice experienced teachers, great leaders, kind nurses, patient parents. They rarely control situations by speaking louder. Instead, they regulate their own emotions first. Calm becomes contagious. Confidence becomes contagious. Kindness becomes contagious. This doesn't mean you should fake happiness. It means becoming aware that your emotional state influences people far more than your words alone. The energy you consistently bring into a room often becomes the energy that room reflects back to you. So far, we've uncovered 3 invisible behaviors that quietly shape nearly every human interaction. But the next ones become even more surprising. Why do people remember criticism far longer than compliments? Why do strangers often reveal their deepest secrets to someone they've just met? And why do people sometimes say yes when every part of them actually means no? These hidden patterns influence relationships, careers, friendships, and everyday life far more than most people realize. In the first part, we explored how comfort, empathy, and emotional energy influence nearly every interaction. But human behavior becomes even more fascinating when we look beneath the surface. Sometimes what people don't say is far more important than what they do. Let's continue. Think back to a teacher you admired. Can you remember every lesson they taught? Probably not. Now think about how they treated you. Maybe they encouraged you when you doubted yourself. Maybe they believed in you before anyone else did. That feeling has probably stayed with you for years. The same is true in everyday life. Most conversations disappear from memory within days. Specific words fade. Details become blurry. But emotions leave footprints. You may forget someone's exact compliment, yet still feel confident because of it years later. Likewise, a single embarrassing moment can linger long after everyone else has forgotten it. Our brains are designed to prioritize emotional memories because emotions help us determine what is safe, meaningful, or dangerous. This is why kindness has such lasting power. A cashier who smiles sincerely after a difficult day, a stranger who offers help without expecting anything in return, a friend who listens instead of judging. These moments may seem small to the person giving them. To the person receiving them, they can become unforgettable. Before ending any conversation, ask yourself one question. How will this person feel after talking with me? That answer often matters more than every sentence you spoke. Imagine asking someone an important question. Instead of answering immediately, they pause. 5 seconds? 10 seconds? Suddenly, the silence feels enormous. Many people rush to fill empty space. They explain more, apologize, change the subject, or reveal information they never intended to share. Silence creates psychological pressure. Our brains naturally seek closure. We dislike uncertainty. That is why skilled interviewers, counselors, and negotiators often become comfortable with silence. They ask a thoughtful question, then simply wait. The other person usually continues speaking, not because they were forced to, but because silence encourages reflection. Interestingly, the strongest communicators are rarely the ones who speak the most. They're often the ones who know when to stop talking. Giving someone time to think shows respect. It signals that their answer matters. The next time a conversation becomes quiet, resist the urge to rescue it immediately. Sometimes the most meaningful words arrive only after the silence. Everyone enjoys talking about themselves, not because they're selfish, because their own experiences are the center of their daily life. Yet most conversations become competitions. People wait for their turn to speak. Someone says, I just came back from Italy. The reply becomes, I've been there too. Or, you know where I went? Without realizing it, the focus shifts. Great conversationalists do the opposite. They become curious. What surprised you the most? What was your favorite memory? Would you go back? Simple questions communicate something powerful. I value your experience. Curiosity builds trust faster than impressing people. You don't need the funniest stories. You don't need the most exciting life. You simply need to care. People can sense fake interest surprisingly quickly. Forced questions feel like interviews. Real curiosity feels effortless. When someone feels truly seen, they naturally become more open. Connection begins with attention, not performance. Listen carefully when someone says, I don't have time. Sometimes that's true. Life becomes busy. Unexpected responsibilities happen, but often what people really mean is, it's not my priority right now. Time is one of the few resources everyone receives equally. 24 hours. No more, no less. How we spend those hours quietly reveals what matters most. People make time for relationships they value, skills they want to develop, dreams they refuse to abandon. This doesn't mean judging others. Everyone has different priorities. Instead, it encourages honesty with ourselves. If you say family matters most, does your schedule reflect that? If you say your health is important, do your daily habits agree? Human behavior often tells the truth before words do. Look at patterns, not promises. Patterns rarely lie. We've now uncovered 7 hidden behaviors that quietly shape everyday life. But the final 3 may be the most surprising of all. Why do people defend beliefs even when they're proven wrong? Why do first impressions become so difficult to change? And why are the smallest acts of kindness often remembered for decades? The answers reveal something extraordinary about the human mind. By now, you've probably started noticing something. Human behavior isn't random. Every action, every reaction, and every habit usually has a hidden reason behind it. The challenge is that these reasons are often invisible. The next 3 behaviors reveal how our minds protect our beliefs, create lasting impressions, and remember moments that seem insignificant at the time. Let's continue. Imagine someone has believed something for 20 years. Then one day they're presented with clear evidence that they're wrong. You might expect them to change their mind immediately. Surprisingly, that's often the opposite of what happens. Instead, many people defend their original belief even more strongly. Why? Because our beliefs aren't just ideas. They're often connected to our identity. Changing a deeply held belief can feel like losing a part of ourselves. This happens everywhere. Politics, sports, parenting, health, work, even simple everyday opinions. Our brains naturally search for information that supports what we already believe while quietly ignoring information that challenges it. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. It's something every human experiences, not just other people. You do it, I do it, everyone does. The people who grow the most aren't the ones who are always right. What if I'm missing something? That single question opens the door to learning. Instead of trying to win every argument, try understanding why someone believes what they believe. You may not agree, but you'll understand them better. And understanding is often far more valuable than winning. You meet someone for the first time. Within seconds, your brain begins making decisions. Friendly, confident, nervous, trustworthy, reserved. Most of these judgments happen automatically, long before a full conversation even begins. The remarkable thing is that first impressions are surprisingly difficult to change. Once the brain creates an initial story about someone, it starts looking for evidence that supports that story. If you believe someone is kind, you'll notice their kind actions more often. If you think someone is rude, small mistakes suddenly seem much bigger. This doesn't mean first impressions are always correct. Far from it. They're the ones willing to ask. Some of the warmest people appear shy. Some confident people hide deep insecurity. Some quiet people become the funniest friends you'll ever have, once you truly know them. That's why emotionally intelligent people avoid making permanent judgments based on temporary moments. Everyone has bad days. Everyone feels anxious sometimes. Everyone can make an awkward first impression. The greatest relationships often begin after people move beyond those first assumptions. So the next time you meet someone, remind yourself, a first impression is only the first chapter. It is not the whole story. Imagine you're having one of the worst days of your life. Nothing is going right. You're exhausted, discouraged, maybe even questioning yourself. Then something unexpected happens. A stranger smiles at you. Someone holds the door open. A coworker asks, "Are you okay?" A friend sends a message saying, "I was thinking about you today." The action lasts only a few seconds, but somehow it changes your entire day. Human beings often underestimate the power of small kindnesses because they measure effort instead of impact. A compliment takes only a moment. Listening costs nothing. Patience requires no special talent. Yet these tiny moments can stay with people for years. Think back to your own life. You probably remember someone who believed in you before you believed in yourself. Perhaps they never became famous. Perhaps they never knew how much they helped. But their kindness quietly changed your direction. That is the remarkable thing about human behavior. People rarely remember every achievement. They remember how others made them feel when they needed it most. Success may earn admiration. Kindness earns memory. And memory becomes legacy. When you begin paying attention, the world starts to look different. You notice the nervous smile hiding uncertainty, the quiet person who has something meaningful to say, the friend who isn't asking for advice, only understanding. You realize that confidence is often quieter than arrogance, that kindness is stronger than criticism, that listening is more persuasive than talking, and perhaps the most important lesson of all, every person you meet is carrying a story you cannot see. They have invisible fears, unspoken dreams, private disappointments, hidden victories. Just like you, human behavior is not a puzzle to solve. It is a reminder that every person deserves a little more curiosity, a little more patience, and a little more compassion. Because beneath our different backgrounds, cultures, languages, and beliefs, we all share the same desire to be understood, to be accepted, and to know that we matter. So the next time you walk into a room, don't just listen to what people say. Notice what they don't say. Observe the pauses, the smiles, the silence, the small acts of kindness. Those quiet moments often reveal the deepest truths about human behavior. And once you begin seeing them, you'll never look at people the same way again.